Imagine an enemy, one that doesn't come from outer space, doesn't carry a weapon, and one you can't even see as it crawls beneath your feet. An enemy that has managed to build an entire empire lasting longer than the nations we live in today. All our lives we've been taught one golden rule in school. The earthworm is nature's friend. It is the engineer that plows the soil and gives us life. Right? Well, what if I told you that this story is only half the truth? In fact, right now, beneath the soil, a silent invasion is taking place. It is an invasion that began centuries ago, led by a relentless army destroying North American forests slowly. And this army is none other than the creature you thought was your friend. To understand this story, we must turn back the clock, not just hundreds of years, but over 10,000 years. We are going back to the Pleistocene Ice Age. At that time, massive glaciers crept across the North American continent, scraping the earth clean. These glaciers wiped out native earthworms almost entirely. Only a few survived in the far south. But north of Pennsylvania, it became a forbidden land, a land completely devoid of earthworms for thousands of years. Here, an ecological miracle happened. The forests learned how to live without them. The trees, the plants, and the soil adapted to a delicate system that didn't require tilling or churning, a system that existed in peace until the 17th century. When early European settlers arrived to build the New World, the British, French, and Dutch, they didn't come alone. They unknowingly brought a secret passenger. European earthworms didn't pay a fare. They stowed away. They hid inside the root balls of plants settlers brought from home, and within the dry soil used as ship ballast. While the settlers were busy building colonies above ground, they were completely oblivious to the more dangerous colonization happening beneath their feet. These worms, like the common red earthworm, Lumbricus rubellus we see in gardens today, are not American citizens. They are invaders from the Old World. They arrived, thrived in the upper layers of the soil, and established an empire that would outlast any human government. But you might be asking yourself, what's the problem? Worms aerate the soil, and that's good. Here lies the deadly paradox. Yes, gardeners love worms because they unlock nutrients for flowers and vegetables. But for a wild forest, this is a nightmare. North American forests rely on a thick layer of dead leaves that decomposes very slowly. This layer is a blanket that protects and nourishes the seeds of rare plants. When the army of invasive worms moves in, they devour this layer at a breakneck speed. The result? The forest is stripped naked. Rare plants like orchids vanish. Ground-nesting birds lose their homes and are put in danger. It even threatens humans, as this underground activity accelerates soil erosion and can lead to the collapse of irrigation channels. The issue doesn't stop at killing forests. It reaches the climate of the entire planet. Scientists like Melissa McCormick and Dennis Wickham are trying to solve a confusing puzzle. Do worms increase global warming? The Earth's soil holds about 2.5 trillion tons of carbon. When worms chew through leaves and decompose them quickly, they release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, potentially accelerating climate change. However, in a scientific twist, researchers have found that the worm's solid waste, called casts, might actually trap carbon in the soil for longer periods. Are they climate villains or heroes? The jury is still out, but one thing is certain: tampering with nature's balance always comes at a high price. So what can we do? Old-growth forests are still resisting. They contain fewer worms and can better fend off this invasion. Our role now is to ensure we don't become the transport system for the next wave. If you are a fisherman, never dump your leftover bait, the live worms, into the water or the woods. Throw them in the trash. Even the soil used to pack the bait might contain microscopic eggs of invasive species. Because in the end, we want to preserve what remains of this land's history just as it was 10,000 years ago. But wait, if you think the European invasion was bad, brace yourself. A new, more terrifying player has entered the game recently. They are called the Asian jumping worms, also known as snake worms or crazy worms. Unlike the slow-moving European earthworms we just talked about, these new invaders are aggressive, fast, and unsettling to watch. While European worms live deep in the soil, these jumping worms swarm the surface in massive numbers. When disturbed, they don't just wiggle, they thrash violently like snakes, and they can even jump into the air to escape. They are voracious eaters, consuming the forest floor twice as fast as their European cousins. But their true danger lies in what they leave behind. They transform the soil structure completely. Instead of rich, moist dirt, they leave behind dry, granular pellets that look exactly like coffee grounds. This coffee ground soil cannot hold water. It cannot hold onto roots. When the rain comes, the soil simply washes away, taking the forest's future with it. This exposes the delicate roots of trees, leaving them vulnerable to disease and drought. What makes this truly frightening is how they spread. You don't need a mate to start an invasion. These worms are parthenogenetic, meaning a single worm can reproduce on its own, creating an entire army in one season. Their tiny cocoons look like specks of dirt, making them nearly impossible to detect in potted plants, hiking boots, or car tires. They are hitchhiking across America right now. So how do you know if your land is under attack? Scientists and forest rangers use a strange but effective method called the mustard pour. It sounds like a cooking recipe, but it is a tool for ecological detection. By mixing water with ground yellow mustard seed and pouring it over the soil, the mixture irritates the worm's skin without killing them, forcing them to rush to the surface. In minutes, you can see the scale of the infestation bubbling up from the ground. It is a sight that haunts ecologists. Currently, there are no proven methods to remove them once they establish a colony. No pesticides, no biological controls. The only defense we have is prevention. This is why the Don't Move Firewood and Clean Your Boots campaigns are not just slogans, they are desperate pleas. We are standing at a crossroads. On one side, we have the gardening industry that unknowingly sells these invaders. On the other, we have the ancient forests fighting for survival. The earthworm is no longer just a humble creature of the dirt. It is a powerful force of change. And now that you know the full story, the next time you look at the ground, look closer. The silent war beneath our feet is far from over. It is a reminder that nature is complex, and sometimes the biggest threats come in the smallest packages. Whether they are the European settlers of the past or the jumping thrashers of the present, these worms have rewritten the history of a continent. Now, it is up to us to stop them from writing the final chapter.